Welcome to Mickey, Marvel, and More, Disney news, commentary, and opinion. From theme parks to Thanos and from Skywalker to Skyliner, my family and I will discuss it all. So let's go.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hello, Mark here, and welcome to another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. We are back from our brief hiatus, which also means that we're back from our spring break trip to Walt Disney World Resort. We have so many great stories, opinions, and reviews to share with you today, and we are all super excited to do it in our very first full family chat, where we'll all be here together talking about it with you today. The only bad thing that I have to report is that Parker brought a cold with him, and it came to a head on his very first day there. And by day 3, he had developed a pretty nasty cough. And then on the very last day of the trip, Laura also caught the cold as well. I think that the cold finally hit me just today, but luckily it didn't affect our trip too much, and Parker soldiered through each day and managed to still have a good time. It was a bit of a rough car ride home, though, but we did make it. I kind of felt like I was traveling with a tuberculosis ward. But with all that being said, we have a whole lot of things to get to, including our family chat. So let's start it all off with a little bit of news from in and around the Disneyverse.
Further out, just beyond here, next to Tomorrowland, is Autopia, and that's the superhighway of the future. Art Linkletter will be along shortly to tell you all about it.
Love them or hate them, the little cars in Tomorrowland, in Disneyland, and in the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World have both been there since opening day of both parks. Personally, I have a love-hate relationship with them. I admit they're iconic and they look great in photographs and promotional videos, but truth be told, they take up a lot of valuable real estate in both Disney parks, and the smell they generate is just overwhelming. But it looks like one of those problems is going to be solved, at least in Disneyland anyway. This week, Disney announced that the Autopia Cars in Disneyland were going to switch from gas-powered to electric-powered. Well, that's great news for those of us that can't stand the smell of them. That statement, of course, didn't give any specific timeline or answer whether the new vehicles will be fully electric or just hybrid. But hey, it is a start. We can only hope that this advancement in tech will make its way all the way down to the Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World as well. I know little kids love these rides and they are classic, but for our family, even when the boys were little, they didn't want to wait for them. The lines were always incredibly long, and at least in Florida, they're out in the hot sun with very little shade, and it's a pretty miserable line to wait on. Hey, maybe they can get Tesla to sponsor the makeover. We'll keep you posted.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Did you hear that? That's the sound of 1 million fanboys screaming out loud and shaking their fists at the internet. Because Marvel just announced that Julia Garner will be joining the Fantastic Four film as the Silver Surfer. She will be playing Shalala Ball, a female version of the Silver Surfer. I personally think this is a great idea because she is a fantastic actress, and I look forward to seeing what she does with the role. The problem is, fanboys love to complain, and Marvel just gave them something to complain about. I can hear it now. Listen, you can hear it too, probably. She's not my Silver Surfer. Look, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the part is well written and the movie is well constructed, I will look forward to it. But I will acknowledge that this is definitely something that Disney/Marvel needs to get right. Because the Fantastic Four is definitely Marvel's first family and are beloved by so many fans. And really, outside of maybe the very first Fantastic Four film from 2005, most of the Fantastic Four outings have been pretty bad. Many people didn't even like the 2005 movie. I thought it was okay. Garner will be joining Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss-Bachrach in this new version of the Fantastic Four. Production will begin this summer, and the film is set to be released on July 25th, 2025. Maybe, just maybe, all the butthurt fanboys will be all healed up by then.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Long live the Empire, or so it says on StarWars.com. Late last week, seemingly out of nowhere, Lucasfilm and Disney released a poster and a trailer for the new Disney Plus series, Tales of the Empire. It seems this series is going to follow the same format as Tales of the Jedi. It will be a series of many episodes that are going to tell the tale of two warriors on different paths in the Empire. According to the trailer, the show is going to have Grand Admiral Thrawn, General Grievous, and Lord Vader himself. I know a lot of people will discount animated television shows as only being for kids, but I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Star Wars and you aren't watching their animated shows, you're really missing out. I feel it's some of the best Star Wars stories being told right now. Dave Filoni will once again be leading the series just like he has done for all the rest. He was the creator and showrunner of The Clone Wars, Rebels, Tales of the Jedi, and The Bad Batch. The best thing about these animated shows is you can tell that they're created by not only fans of Star Wars, but people that truly understand the universe. Do yourself a big favor and check this trailer out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And be sure to catch the series when it drops on Disney Plus on, that's right, you guessed it, May the 4th, the unofficial worldwide Star Wars holiday.
Hello there. Welcome to our little trans-dimensional joyride, folks. I'm Dr. Seeker, your friendly controller and a heck of a paleontologist, if I do say so myself.
All right, welcome everybody to our first full-fledged family chat here on Mickey, Marvel, and More. We are going to do a quick wrap-up of our trip report from our spring break trip to Walt Disney World. We have a totally full house today. First of all, as always, Laura is here.
Hi there.
And this time, not from an undisclosed bunker in Chicago, Zach is live here in studio with us.
Hello, I'm here as well.
And for the very, very first time, we have been able to get him out of his video games, out of his room, to join us on his very first family chat. Parker.
Hello. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so the first item up for discussion is the Boardwalk Resort. The very first time we've ever stayed there. It has two components. It's got the Boardwalk Inn, which is the rental for day guests and regular guests that are not DVC. And then there's the other side, which is the Boardwalk Villas, which is for DVC members. We're DVC members, so we were on the DVC side, but it's our very first time there. In the past, we have kind of shunned this resort because we thought it might be kind of hokey. We weren't really sure what to think about it, but now we're going to share our thoughts. Boardwalk Resort. What do you think, Laura?
I thought the resort was much more elegant and much prettier than I anticipated that it was going to be. I had always assumed that because it had a boardwalk theme that it was going to be more carnival-y, but it was not at all. I think the villas themselves and the landscaping in the area was definitely more seaside resort, 1930s, elegant, more than carnival. So I thought it was really pretty.
Zach, your thoughts on the Boardwalk Resort?
Yeah, so I also thought it was very good. I don't know, I very much enjoyed the design aesthetic of the resort. I liked the, East Coast 1920s boardwalk kind of vibe that it has. I think that whole area is really nice. That in, combination with Yacht and Beach across the way, that whole lake resort area is very, very, very nice. And for me, the best part about it was the proximity to Epcot. The walking there it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat being within walking distance of a theme park.
Basically the International Gateway.
Yeah.
Which is the back door to Epcot. All right, Parker, what did you think?
I mean, I really liked it. I like the 1920s theme of the place. And also I did like the International Gateway access of Epcot. And also the boats to Hollywood Studios were nice.
Yeah. And they also have Skyway access, which is right next door to the International Gateway. All right. So moving on from the Boardwalk Resort, let's go on to your favorite experience. All right, Laura, what was your favorite experience from this trip?
Well, there were lots of favorite experiences, but if I had to choose one, I might say that it was watching the new nighttime show at Epcot Luminous. That was really nice. Definitely an upgraded show from Harmonious, and without the ugly black tacos in the middle of the lake in
World Showcase
in
Lagoon.
World Showcase, right? So it was pretty during the day, and the show was nice. It had a nice combination of original music and Disney favorites.
Yeah, and the best part about the new show is where before, for the previous show, they had those giant black barges out there that were out there all day, and they kind of blocked the view and obscured the view of World Showcase. During the day, when this show isn't running, the entire platform lowers below the water line, and it doesn't come up until it's time for the show, which I think really helps the view during the day. All right, Zach, your favorite experience?
Yeah, you brought up Luminous, and I think I may have to agree with you on that one. That was really neat to see. It was really neat to see I don't know, a much better show at Epcot again after such a long time. A smaller thing that I think I enjoyed quite a bit was to go back to the boardwalk, sitting out like on like at the balcony at night and like seeing all of the activity going on the boardwalk itself. There's just so much going on down there. It's a fun area to see at night because it sort of has its own little bit of nightlife to it.
Okay, Parker, what was your favorite experience of the trip?
I really like riding Guardians twice and getting to hear songs that we haven't gotten to heard before, like I Ran in September.
Okay, yeah, we hadn't heard those songs before. That was pretty cool. Of course, I love Guardians as a ride straight across the board. It is probably one of the best coasters that Disney has ever done, at least in the States for sure. Okay, now we're going to move on to a topic that may have a little bit of debate. I don't know, maybe. It is, what aspect of our trip did not measure up? Go, honey.
Well, I was really disappointed by the crowds. And I know that that's something that you should expect at spring break, particularly when you're there the week before Easter. But it really does hamper your enjoyment when the standby lines for most things are so long, and it's like that pretty much from beginning to end. And just if I can add another thing to that, we
Sure.
tried to guard against that a little bit by taking advantage of some extra magic hours in Epcot in order to ride Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
Yeah.
Which is one that we had only ridden once before. And we really wanted to give it another shot because we felt like maybe our first experience there wasn't the best. So we decided to take advantage of those extra magic hours and a shorter wait time, which it was a shorter wait time. Unfortunately, right as we got up to the load area and were getting ready to be loaded onto the vehicles, the entire ride shut down. And instead of giving us the option to even wait for a reset, they just shut the whole attraction down and said, "Good night. Thanks."
Well, it wasn't just your typical shutdown where the ride just stops and they say, momentarily your vehicles have stopped. All of the work lights came on and it became bright as day in there. The music completely shut off. And the crew was like, "Well, okay, I guess we're done. Everybody out of the rats. Ride's over." And we didn't even get like a pass to come back for a different attraction, which was definitely disappointing. I wanted to give it another shot. All right, Zach, what was your experience that didn't measure up? I think I know what this is going to be, but you go right ahead.
Dear listeners, none of you have heard this, but I am no great lover of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. We don't need to get into all of that, but suffice to say, it is not worth waiting, 2.5 hours for?
We waited 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it, to me, really pointed out a lot of the issues that Hollywood Studios currently possesses with capacity problems. over the years, especially in the past few years, Hollywood Studios has just become an absolute nightmare when it comes to crowds and crowd capacity and ride capacity. They don't have enough smaller ticket rides to sort of offload. Everything in Hollywood Studios is big ticket, best of the best. Smuggler's Run was designed to be the smaller ticket ride, I say in air quotations, of Galaxy's Edge, but it's not treated that way. It's treated as just as big a deal as Rise of the Resistance in some respects. So a simulator ride like that shouldn't be, 2.5 hours and taking up all of that time out of your park day. So that was a pretty big disappointment for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that my opinion has shifted on Smuggler's Run quite a bit. Also, the ride has a different experience depending on which seat you're sitting in. If you're the pilots, you have a great experience. If you are the gunners or the engineers, not so much fun, and your view isn't quite as good in the cockpit, I don't think. All right, Parker, what was your least favorite part of the trip that didn't measure up?
Probably me being sick the whole time.
Yeah, that was a pretty big bummer.
Getting a cold and that turning into bronchitis, really fun for a week at Disney.
Yeah, that was pretty much a bummer. I'll give you that one. Okay, so my item that didn't quite measure up not only involves me, but it also involves Zach. We were at Cosmic Rays at the counter, and before I tell the story, I really need to emphasize that Zach has probably the worst case of secondhand embarrassment of any person I've ever known. Meaning, if he sees some other person where they should be embarrassed, he's embarrassed for them times 3. It almost makes his skin crawl. We're up at the counter waiting for our food. And the first part of the experience that was rough, first of all, most people will say, "Why are you at Cosmic Rays? The food isn't great." Our family has a love affair with Sunny Eclipse. So it's hard for us to pass up an opportunity to listen to the animatronic spacefaring lounge singer. Zach and I are up at the counter, picking up our meals. Laura and Parker were getting seats. There was a guy next to us who had ordered, I heard him when he placed his order. It was a ridiculously large order. He was ordering for, I don't know how many people, maybe 10. Problem was, once he got up to the register and he handed them his receipt, and they started to gather the items for him, as they were bringing the orders over, or the items over, he would say, no, we also ordered this. No, I also ordered that. And I could just see the look on Zach's face. I could see the life draining from his eyes, because Zach would never, ever complain about an order or send anything back ever. When he saw this guy doing that, it was killing him. Also, I think this guy was trying to pull a fast one. I think he was trying to get a lot of free items that he didn't pay for. And with the huge crowd and the confusion, he was also, I think, getting his way. But the biggest thing about this entire encounter that really got to me, a lot of times cast members will do things to entertain guests in a line. When there's a big, long crowd, cast members in a line for a ride, they may start a sing-along. They may do trivia. And in this case, this person was doing trivia. And the person behind the counter that was doing the trivia, I could tell had been in Disney World for a while, because on her name tag, she had a lot of those little awards showing how many years that she had been there. So my guess is she was there for at least 15 years, because I think she had like 3 of those things, and I think each one stands for 5 years. And she was doing trivia. Now, before I totally explain this, Disney has something called the 2-finger point, or the Disney point, where they will use their middle finger and pointer finger to point to an exit. Or if you ask for directions, they'll point you in the direction of where you need to go. The reason they do that is, in some cultures, pointing with one finger is rude. It's the same reason that airline personnel, when they are showing you the exits, they will use 2 fingers over the aft wing, over 4 at the front of the plane, at the back of the plane. They always use 2 fingers. Well, this lady who was doing the trivia, she was asking the question why do Disney park employees use two fingers to point? And she told the biggest lie in the history of lies. It's a huge old wives' tale about Disney that's been going around the internet for years. The old wives' tale is the reason the two finger point exists is when Walt was building Disneyland, he was telling people where to do things, and Walt was a heavy smoker, and he generally had a cigarette in his fingers. And so he would, the story goes, he would point with two fingers to show, you need to build this here, you need to build that there. And so the old wives' tale is that it was because of Walt's smoking that the two finger point exists. Well, this lady was giving this trivia question, and when she said, yes, why is the two-fingered point? She told the Walt Disney smoking story.
And she did it seriously,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Not ironically.
No. She was dead serious. And I looked over at Zach, and Zach looked over at me with this huge deadpan expression, and he goes, Dad, I can't be here anymore. The secondhand embarrassment had just totally gotten to him.
Yeah, that was pretty miserable to watch. To back up slightly, to reference the customer you were speaking to before.
Sure.
The entire time he was giving the feedback on his order, he had this really big smug look on his face, like he was better than everyone else there. And I would like to take this opportunity to talk about a bit of the guest entitlement that we see in Disney nowadays.
For sure.
We all know that Disney has become very, very expensive for a lot of people. So there are a lot of people who feel like, I don't know, they are owed certain things or certain experiences in a way.
Right, because they're spending so much money. You owe me XYZ.
Yeah, and it comes out in a lot of really awful ways, especially with how guests will treat cast members. And so that was another reason why that was so painful to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, the lady doing that trivia, all I could think of was these people are listening to her and they're believing every word this lady says. And I just wanted to jump over the counter and correct her. But luckily for us, our meal showed up. We took our food and we left our seat. But we left to our seat. And that moment has not left my brain since then. Okay, we're past the bad stuff. Table service reviews. We had 2 sit-down meals this trip. 3. That's right. We had a bonus one. So Laura, how about a quick review of what you thought of our table service restaurants?
All right. Well, I'll comment on one of them, and then I'll let others comment perhaps on the rest. So one of our table service meals was at Sci-Fi Dine-In, and that's a restaurant in Hollywood Studios that's been around for a long, long time. They have not changed the atmosphere or anything about that restaurant since its inception. They have changed the menu from time to time, but it pretty much always is shakes, burgers, sandwiches, fairly standard fare. I just think that restaurant is so much fun. For those that don't know what it is, it looks like you are at a drive-in movie. So when you walk into the restaurant dining room, it looks like you are outside. There is a giant movie screen along one wall. If you look in the ceiling, there are the night stars and the night sky around you. And you sit in 1950s convertibles, and the waiters and waitresses bring food to your car, just like the car hops of the day. And on the screen, they show black and white movie clips and trailers from 1950s and 60s classic B sci-fi movies. So for me, it's always a fun experience every single time. First time we went to that restaurant was in 1993. And
for our honeymoon.
That's right. And we've been back many times, always had a great, fun experience.
Yeah, our family loves the experience of what we like to call
inside outside, where you're inside and Disney makes it look like you're outside, which is just fantastic. Yeah, and the food there is okay, but it's really about the experience when you go to the Sci-Fi Dine-In. Okay, Zach, sit-down meals. Do you have a take on any of them?
Yeah, I'll take this opportunity to speak on our bonus sit-down meal. We had our first full night in the parks.
Yes.
Yes, this was after our Magic Kingdom day, where our said encounter occurred at Cosmic Rays,
which from now on will be known as the Encounter.
We were in the parks all day long. We were very, very tired, and we decided to chill at the Boardwalk Resort for the rest of the evening. And we just so happened to see that there was an open reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Open at Trattoria Al Forno, one of their sit-down restaurants there. So that was a surprise little get for us.
And the food was pretty good.
It was pretty good. I remember cynically going in and thinking that it was just going to be like a fancy Olive Garden. But it ended up, I think others would probably agree with me, tasting a lot better than that.
Sure.
So it was just fun. We love whenever we go to Disney and end up getting these surprise little sit-down meals. These happen every so often. Keep your eyes out for reservations like that while you're in the parks. It can add, if you're a big planner, you want to have everything planned out to the T. This is a very fun little thing when you get these like surprise reservations or surprise extra experiences you can have.
Okay, Parker, what was your take on one of our sit downs, or maybe more than one?
We ate at Le Cellier's Steakhouse in Canada. It was really good. The steak I had there was really good. The potatoes I had were also really good. There was some desserts that did look good, but I wasn't super hungry after the steak.
Yeah, the steak was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really, but what a delectable experience, guys. It was very good. We have not been to Le Cellier in quite a long time.
Yeah, it was a really long time.
I don't even know if Parker remembers the last time we went. So it was very, very nice to return there. I rarely have steaks. They just don't sound very appealing to me most of the time, but this is a restaurant that is well known for its steaks. And I gotta say, that was very, very delicious. That was a very good steak. And like Parker mentioned, all of the other sides that came with it, it was all just very good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, my favorite meal was probably Le Cellier. My steak was really good. I've tried to watch Ye Old Waistline over the last few years, and so I try to have a little less red meat, but I did treat myself this time and had a steak, and I got to say it was really, really good. So moving on to the food topic, we've got one more topic to discuss. The Flower and Garden Festival was going on, which, by the way, I believe is now my favorite festival because I think the weather is beautiful usually this time of year. And with the Food and Wine Festival, it's been starting so early now. It starts in July, and it is just so ridiculously hot. And you do not want to sit out in the hot sun hovering over a trash can trying to eat food when you're just sweat pouring off your face. So you got the Flower and Garden, so you have all these beautiful topiaries, all these beautiful sculptures, and you've got this food and this great weather. So this has become my favorite festival. So, Laura, what was your favorite festival food you had?
This may sound really basic, but it was delicious. It was the honey roasted vegetables.
Yes, it was good.
They were so pretty. It was different colors of cauliflower with some other roasted vegetables mixed in with a really delicious honey marinade. And I think it might have even had some edible garnish on it as well.
Yeah, the edible flowers. It is the Flower and Garden Festival.
Yes. So it was so pretty and so delicious. It was my favorite.
All right. Zach, what was your favorite Flower and Garden Festival feast you had?
All right. So before coming to Disney for this trip, I made a little list of things I wanted to try and get. We are historically, infamously bad at actually taking advantage of the festivals while we were there. We will go to our staple quick services or table services, and they're just so filling. And then when it comes time to, walk around World Showcase, we're just far too full and it is far too hot. But this time we made an effort, and I think my standout may have been one of the first things I had. It was the honey cheesecake from Swirled Showcase.
It looked really good.
It was very, very good. It also had a little edible flower on top. I don't remember everything that was on it, but I just know that it was very good. And if they bring it back for future festivals, that is definitely one to go for. I will also give a little shout out to another returning Flower and Garden Festival treat, the cinnamon roll bites with with little bacon bits on them. Those are very good. I had them a couple of years ago when we were here for Flower and Garden, and I got them again this year. They're a very, very good breakfasty type treat.
All right, Parker, what was your favorite festival food, if you had any at all? I can't remember how much you had.
I had two. I had a chocolate terrarium kind of thing. It was made to look like a terrarium. It was very rich. I couldn't eat all of it, but it was very good. And the other food I had was meat and vegetables. And what was that? It was a steak.
I'm pretty sure it was Canada. I think it was an all steak week for you, because you had the from the Canadian booth, you had steak and it had some sort of mushroom sauce on it, I think.
Mushrooms, carrots, and I think potatoes maybe.
Yeah. That was your, you did enjoy that for sure. Okay, my favorite item from the Flower and Garden Festival is probably the avocado toast. You and I have had the avocado toast before from this booth over near Test Track.
Yes.
Which I think is the same booth where you got your cinnamon bites.
Probably so.
Yeah. We have had this avocado toast before, but it is just so good. And it's got the edible flowers on it. For some reason, we love having the edible flowers. So that was really, really good.
One other thing that I'll say about Flower and Garden Festival is they did a fun thing with the Odyssey Center this time. So Odyssey Center, they've done different things with during different festivals. It's kind of an empty space. They don't have a restaurant there anymore. They do typically have an indoor booth or eating establishment for each of the festivals. But they made a cute little dining room out of the big open space inside the Odyssey Center this time that was Orange Bird themed. And I thought that was really cute. Orange Bird is such a cute little mascot.
Everybody loves the Orange Bird.
Yeah, so that was kind of a nice place to sit and relax and see fun Orange Bird animations and projections on the wall.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the little drink we all got there.
Oh yes.
Yeah, what was it, like the key lime wine slush? Was that right?
That was a key lime wine slush. That's right.
Yeah, no, that was it was such an interesting flavor, because it felt super familiar, like I've had something like it before, but then also not. It was a really good drink. If I were to say that I had a favorite drink at Flower and Garden Festival, I may give it to that one.
Yeah, that was a pretty good drink. So to wrap this up, does anybody have any final thoughts they would like to give before we get out of here today? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I hope that we can do this again soon when we have another trip to report. I think maybe the next one we might go back and relook at our Disneyland trip from last spring/summer.
Summer.
Yeah, that was a pretty good trip, and we have a really interesting take on Disneyland that I think might be fun to talk about. All right, guys, thanks for being here today. It's been a lot of fun for our very first full family chat about our spring break trip to Walt Disney World, and we'll talk again soon.
How old is this milk?
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. Before we get out of here, I need to issue a huge thank you to my entire family for participating in our family chat about our spring break trip to Walt Disney World. Laura, Zachary, and Parker, thank you so much for being here, even in your many different stages of illness. Be sure to check out our show notes for links to any of the stories that we talked about in this episode, as well as links to all of our socials. Be sure to hit us up with a like, follow, or comment. We would love to hear from you. You can also drop us a note at our email address, mickeymarvelandmore, all one word, @gmail.com. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, my name is Mark, and this has been Mickey, Marvel, and More. If you didn't, this has been Cyrus, your buffet line server, and you've been enjoying the Jack Benny Early Bird Special Value Plate at MCL Cafeteria. We'll see you next time.